Right. So, like you said, it varies from industry to industry, company to company, right?
Right.
So, and like you said, like there are different things. One is the ideation and trying to understand the problem and figuring out the solution. Then there's a implementation part. So, where is most of your time spent? Like in your current role, I mean, it would have varied over time. You can take us through that, like how your current role is, what you do, where most of your time is spent, and how
Sure.
it has changed over time, like across companies.
Okay. So I'll start from Zoomcar first. So I started product management in Zoomcar. It was a very small company, and it really matters a lot from company to company and the culture that the company follows. So what happens is it really depends on at what stage the company is. So if it is a smaller setup, like you are just like 5-10 people working on an app, then speed is the highest concern. Like you want to get to the market fast. You are ready to experiment, you are ready to fail fast, and you are ready to fail fast enough. So you are experimenting with a lot of things. So if a company is at very early stage of growth, they would prefer to get things faster. So then as a product manager, you don't spend a lot of time finding the perfect solution. You spend a lot of time finding the easiest solution to a problem. It might not be perfect, and you try to get that solution out as fast as possible and learn as much as possible, because you are a new company. You want to learn as much and try to achieve what you are trying to do. In When I moved to Grab, it was already a larger setup, so speed takes a back foot there. What you want to ensure is that you already know a lot of market that you are already present in. You know what your users are, you know what they want. So when there's a lot of data, then little more structure comes into the problem. So by structure, what I mean is that you can have a more definite problem statement, what you are trying to solve. Then you spend a lot of time defining the problem. You then spend a lot of time uh, coming up with solutions to what are the solutions to that particular problem. Then one big part that comes in bigger setups is that stakeholder management takes a larger chunk. So in like Zoomcar, if I had to solve a problem, I mostly needed to just convince my engineer to build that product. At Grab, if I had a similar problem to solve, I might have to like talk to the country head of that country that I'm launching to. I might have to talk to the regulators. I might have to talk to the account personnel. I might have to talk to the compliance guys. I might have to talk to accounting. So a small change actually involves a large gamut of people, and stakeholder management takes a larger chunk. Now coming to Zendesk, it's a software as a service company. So, and it's a B2B setup. Businesses buy the software in B2C. So for those who don't know B2C, B2B, it's business to consumers is B2C, in which like something like Facebook or like Flipkart is a business that the consumers consume. And then there are products that businesses consume, like they're B2B products, which is businesses to business. So imagine imagine, let's say there's a product called Office 365. It's a subscription service. So that is something that other businesses use, and Microsoft is a business that sells them. So what they would do is that they would try to like approach a company, try to sell their software. So the biggest difference in B2B that I have realized so far is that problem statements are very well defined. So in B2C, if you are trying to move a metric, you have to do a lot of guesswork based on data. Like, okay, the customers might be facing this problem. Then you go and find out how many customers face that problem. And because you are trying to solve problems for a very large pool of people, there are different problems to a solution. But in B2B, there's a very specific solution that companies come up with. Like in Zendesk, if there's a feature that a company wants, they wouldn't say that, hey, we are facing this problem. They would say that, hey, I want this button to be placed on this page so that I can access faster. So the definition of problems become very different. So as a product manager, the problem statement changes. You don't have to spend a lot of time discovering the problem, but you do have to validate the problem, because a client might be suggesting you one feature, but you have hundreds and thousands of clients. You have to go ahead and check whether every other client is facing that feature or not, whether that client brings you sufficient revenue that you are you want to build a separate feature for them, then there's a lot of different metrics that you have to track. Let's say Uber comes and says to Zendesk that we want this particular feature. I don't think anybody will be questioning them why would you need that feature, because they are such a big client that they bring such revenue and value in terms of money. So we'll just build it for them. So it's a lot about how business values drive your decision, and so it's very very different from different setups. Similarly, I can give you an example of companies that deal with hardwares. Let's say you are using iPhones, let's say you are using Macs right now. So any small change that you do in the product, you have to talk to the supply chain expert, making sure that whatever change that you do in the hardware, the industrial designer can build it on time. Whether Foxconn can deliver it on time, whether your supply chain network is sufficient, is strong enough that that change that you're making will not affect the deadline that you have for shipment. So there are multiple cogs that are there in multiple industries. Software product management is relatively easier because uh, you don't have to deal with a lot of supply chain constraints. It's mostly UI, UX, and software development processes that you deal with on a daily basis. I hope I answered that question.
Yeah. So, like you said, the biggest difference between a B2B working in a B2B setup is that the problems are like you get an idea of the problems more easily because the clients directly tell them to you.
Right.
And in a B2C setup, it's more like you have to go looking for the problems basically through data.
One more thing that I missed is that in B2C you have the power to experiment. You can experiment with a lot of solutions. In B2B you don't have that. You don't have that freedom because oftentimes the product that you are building, the company has invested millions of dollars to get to use that product. And let's say if we just make a change right now without telling any of the companies, their agents, who are like thousands of agents, are used to that workflow. They might just get confused like what is happening right now, and that will completely obstruct their workflow. So changes are as a product manager you have to be more susceptible to what changes you are doing, and unless something is really important, you make sure that you do the communication before, rather than just making a change. In B2C you can just make a change. uh, then again, quality of the product also differs. Let's say if you roll out a feature in B2C and there's some bug that is there, you can quickly go back and fix that bug and just maybe do some appeasement to the people who got affected by it. But you can't do that in B2B, because if you have a bug in B2B, you have already caused a lot of millions of dollars loss to some company in their processes, and they will come back and sue you. So the quality of the product also matters. That by quality I mean that whatever you deliver doesn't have a lot of bugs. In fact, has as minimal bugs as possible. So yeah, that's also a very important factor to check.